Hello, boys and girls. Our story of the week this week is The Top 10 Ways You Can Reduce Waste by Nick Winnick. This story is an argumentative text. These are the vocabulary words that you are going to see in the story. These words will help you understand some of the details in the argumentative text we will read. Okay, the first word is emissions. Emissions is substances released or anything given off by something else. For example, it refers to gases being released into the air like greenhouse gases or emissions from power plants and factories. Or it's like when you see a car that has smoke coming out, that is considered emissions. Then we have the word excessive. Excessive means a lot or more than necessary. For example, here I have excessive grapes. More than enough. By the way, they're fake. Our next word is underlie. And underlie is formed the foundation of. For example, it's something that underlies something else. The tile floor underlies the rug because it's under the rug. Then we have watt. And watt is the unit of measure for electrical power. For example, if I have this light bulb right here, it tells you how many watts is in this light bulb. This light bulb, for example, has 14 watts. See that W stands for watts. Okay, not sure if you can see this one, but this light bulb has 40 watts. You can barely see it, but it's right there. So watt is the unit of measure for electrical power. Then we have innovative. And innovative means creative or using new ideas or methods. For example, I can say that the company's latest innovation is a talking car. Wouldn't that be cool? Okay, boys and girls, so these are the words that you are going to need to know to help you understand some of the details in the argumentative text that I'm about to read. Now, this story is kind of long, so it would be in several parts. So make sure that you read all the parts. Now, let's read the background so you can know what you're about to read. It says, in this excerpt, you will read about how you can help the planet. This text offers easy ways to cut down the amount of waste your household produces. So I have a challenge for you. I challenge you to cut down the amount of waste your household produces. Don't forget to have your highlighter and your pen or colored pencil. Okay, so let's begin. Making the world a greener place. So I see the phrase a greener place in the heading, and in the first paragraph it says, how can you make the world a greener place? Does the author mean it literally? I also see a photograph on the next page of green trees. Could the author also mean it figuratively? I'm going to read on to find out more about this phrase. What does he mean by a greener place? So let's start in paragraph 1. How can you make the world a greener place? You can help the planet by reducing your carbon footprint. A carbon footprint is a measure of greenhouse gases produced by human activities. So what is a carbon footprint? Is the measure of greenhouse gases produced by human activities. In other words, if you remember when I introduced the vocabulary words, which vocabulary word would mean in the measure of greenhouse gases produced by human activities? So the key word there is greenhouse gases. If you said emissions, you are correct. Okay, let's continue reading. Paragraph 2. Greenhouse gases are created by burning fossil fuels. People burn fossil fuels for electricity, heating, and powering vehicles. One of the biggest causes of climate change is the greenhouse gas known as carbon dioxide. Many scientists believe that carbon emissions are more damaging to Earth than any other kind of pollution. So, I know you see our vocabulary word, emissions, so you need to highlight it. And then if you look to the left, you see the definition. Again, it says substances released, anything given off by something else. So carbon dioxide is a gas, and therefore it is a type of emission. Okay, paragraph 3. There are many ways you can reduce your carbon footprint. One way is to walk or ride your bike instead of riding in a car. And that's because sometimes cars release gases, which are emissions. So if you ride your bike or you walk, you won't be using the car, and therefore you won't pollute the air. You can turn off lights when you leave a room to reduce energy waste. Reusing plastic shopping bags to carry other items is another way to help the environment. And I know a lot of us already do some of this stuff. Like, I know my lights are always off. If no one's in the room, make sure you turn it off. And in plastic bags, I recycle my plastic bags. I always use them for something else. You can recycle newspaper so that fewer trees are chopped down to make new paper. So we already know that this text is an argumentative text. And in the video before, I taught a lesson on argumentative text. So in the first paragraph, we learned that the author always introduces a claim or his or her opinion. So in this, I want you to look at paragraph 1 and see if you can find which sentence expresses the author's claim. So we're going to be answering our close read together, and that's what our close read is asking us. It says, analyze argument. Identify and underline Nick Winnick's claim. And Nick Winnick, remember, is the author. He's the one that wrote this argumentative text. So they want us to underline the sentence that has his claim or his opinion of what he thinks. So remember to look for a call to action or a statement that asks readers to change their mind or outlook about something. What does he want you to do? Okay, if you said you can help the planet by reducing your carbon footprint, you are correct. You have identified Nick Winnick's claim. This is the author's claim. This is what he wants you to do. He wants you to help the planet by reducing your carbon footprint. So make sure you underline that. Okay, so explain how you know that this sentence relates to the author's claim. How do you know that relates to the author's claim? Okay, it answers the question that opens the text, and each sentence after that builds on the statement. So he's going to give you, he's going to support it with facts and details. Because remember, on the argumentative text, it has an introduction where he introduces his claim, and then the next few paragraphs, he supports it with facts and details. So we're going to continue reading. Okay, so turn your page to the next page, which is 507. How can you reduce waste? Reducing waste is one of the easiest ways you can help the environment. Once you decide to reduce the amount of waste you produce, you can learn many different ways to do it. Buying more items than you actually need can lead to excessive waste. Before making purchases, whether you are buying food or a new piece of electronic equipment, consider the waste the purchase will produce. Does the food item have an excessive amount of packaging? If it does have packaging, is that packaging recyclable or made from recycled materials? Do you need a new TV, or could you have an old one fixed or buy a used one? These are the types of questions to ask when you and your family are trying to reduce waste. So if you notice, here was another vocabulary word. That's right, excessive. And what does excessive mean? Go ahead and highlight it. It says buying more items than you actually need can lead to excessive waste. That is correct. It means a lot. A lot or more than necessary. So the details listed in paragraph 4 made an impression on me because I was able to connect each of them with choices I make in my own life. Everybody has to buy food to eat, and I have made decisions about whether or not to buy a piece of electronic equipment. So look at the close read, and our close read here is telling us to identify and underline a reason that supports the author's argument. And you have to remember what the author's argument was. His argument was to help the planet by reducing our carbon footprint. So what reason supports his argument in this paragraph? Okay, if you said the first sentence, you are correct. Reducing waste is one of the easiest ways you can help the environment. So a reason that he gave was to reduce waste. That's one reason. Now, how do you know this is one of the author's reasons? Well, it describes a way to reduce your carbon footprint, which means that the statement supports the claim I identified in paragraph 1.